Good Lord, it must be Christmas!
Ho, ho, ho!
Ho, ho, bloody ho! Bar humbug!
Christmas. Happy Christmas, everybody!
And other stuff.
It's hello from him.
And it's hello from him.
Hello.
We're back with
back.
a Christmas festive review of the year.
It's the Almanac review.
The Almanac.
Review of 2021.
Or something like that.
Yes.
Complete with silly funny acrylic hats.
Well, you know.
Do not go near naked flames. Okay, otherwise we'll go up crisp.
You've lost your ball.
Oh, bollocks! Well, and obviously festive guitars.
Yes, festive guitars. These are guitars that we never actually played live. Do we play these live?
I have. They're a nightmare because they've got Floyd Rose tuners on them, and
Yeah, I mean we
you tried tuning
we
it.
just spent guys. We spent 30 minutes tuning these up. And we were thinking, should we make that part of the video? 30
Oh
minutes
God!
of just us tuning the guitar. So anyway, so we're gonna speak about everything that's happened in 2021. This is going to be the mega video. I mean, forget all these other sort of YouTubers that just waffle on about nothing. This is where you need to be, guys. You need to be watching.
Well, I've got to
this
tell you, actually, talking of which, we had a comment on our channel just a couple of days ago, right?
Yeah.
And the guy said, yours is the best guitar show on YouTube.
Oh.
It's fantastic. I mean, it's so kind. I mean, frankly, would you
Thank
really rather watch us talk bollocks about stuff than watch a really great video of how, I don't know, Eric Johnson or David Grissom or someone get their incredible sound? I wouldn't, but I'm honoured and flattered that
Yes.
anybody takes the trouble to watch this.
Yes, absolutely.
And let alone, send us nice stuff like that. So thank you from the
God
bottom of
bless
my
you.
heart. Makes it worth it.
God bless you. God bless you. So let's sort of reflect on this year. I mean, it's been a pretty crazy year, hasn't it? We've had old Clapton. He's come out with some controversial statements, shall we say?
Kind of suicide,
And,
really, wasn't it, in retrospect?
And then we've had what else have we had? We've had Eddie Van Halen departed, didn't he?
He did.
He did. Eddie Van Halen departed. And we've had quite a few things happening, like in the vintage guitar world. You can maybe report on that as well, because there's a few bit of movement in the prices
Stuff
of
happened
things.
there. Yeah.
We've done some work ourselves. We've done a few gigs, haven't we?
Well, I mean, it's basically, I think you're being quite upbeat about it, so I'm going to be Mr. Grumpy today and say, actually, fellas, it's been pretty shit, hasn't it? Because we've been in and out of lockdown. Wherever you're watching this, whether you're in the UK like we are or elsewhere, our governments are doing the only thing they can, no criticism. They don't know what to do about coronavirus. Coronavirus is quicker and faster and cleverer and nastier than them, which is saying something. And so everybody around the world is chasing their tails. Like last year at the beginning of all this, everyone was saying, oh, New Zealand's got it right, but then we're going, hang on, it's in the middle of nowhere, at the end of the world.
I think New Zealand's a beautiful place. It's similar to England.
It's beautiful, and they got it right and all the rest of it. But now, a year and a half later, everyone's saying, oh, well, they screwed it up as well. Australia was lauded for getting it right. Then everyone's going, oh, they got it wrong. We were beating ourselves up for that, getting it wrong as UK. We ended up doing pretty well on the old vax front. But now, just as we go into Christmas, everything's about to be closed down again. In the meantime, gigs. I mean, we have done some gigs together and separately this year. But my God, they've been few and far between because
I think next year's going to be different. Next year,
it's got to be different.
I think people are getting tired of just locking themselves up. It's like, if you're going to die, just go out with a blaze of glory.
The big hope now. I mean, the younger people are just braving it, and for the most part, aren't getting it seriously if they're contracting it at all. Although there are exceptions, but what the rest of the population is gambling for is that every iteration, every variant of this virus does what the virologists are saying, and it gets weaker because it's a pretty dumb virus that kills all the people that it's going to feed off. So that's why viruses get more diluted.
Man, this video, man, it's getting pretty serious.
Well, it is, but the reason for it is that this thing has cast a very long shadow.
It has, yeah.
Over our playing lives as musicians.
Yeah.
You know,
It has. I mean, everyone's shored up. A lot of the the pros that I know in different parts of America and whatever,
Yeah.
in Nashville, they've locked themselves away and they're just weathering the storm and just hope we can get out the other side of it. You know?
and the ones that are managing to weather the storms, or maybe doing lessons or producing recorded material they can sell, they're keeping their heads above water. But
Yeah, you just do what you can, yeah.
lots of guys are just taking on jobs. I know lots of people who've just taken on delivery driving jobs.
Yeah, exactly. I've got some friends. I've got some friends that have done that, and they come out teaching because they were kind of gigging half and teaching half.
Yeah.
And they come out of the teaching, and because they lost half their income from the gigs, and they've had to go and work for people like Amazon. And stuff. But actually, there's kind of been rejuvenation for them, and they've actually looked at life in a different way. And I think it's sometimes change can be a good thing.
Anyway,
Keep it young,
the other thing, the most important news, Stock Press, despite COVID, I still haven't fallen off the yoga ball, but tonight it's always a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, you're living.
We're living on the edge. Right
on
on the edge here.
It's how we do it here.
Rock and roll.
The Bob and Ramon show.
It's a dangerous pursuit we're undergoing here for your benefit.
So let's speak about this year, because apart from the whole.
So as you say, so the probably the world's most famous electric guitarist, rather unwittingly, sort of committed suicide on social media.
Well, I mean, whatever Clapton does, he's done some pretty crazy stuff, in the past. I mean, I just love Clapton. I'll always love him. I always forgive him. I've got a soft spot for him.
He expressed an opinion. The opinion was a little bit off centre. Fine. But it's not a unique opinion to him. He's allowed to have an opinion in my world.
Free world.
But the world we're in now is that you're not actually allowed to have an opinion about quite a lot of things, or you're certainly not allowed to voice an opinion. You have this whole cancel culture.
What Eric Clapton does in his personal life or whatever, that's his business. In my opinion, I'm just taking his music. You know what I mean? I'm not really interested in what he does in his personal life, what he says. I'm not interested in his opinion. For me personally, it's just about his playing. That's just me. But other people in media.
I think actually the mutual tolerance and mutual respect. There are things that you and I roundly agree on, and things we might disagree on that we haven't even discovered. Yeah.
I mean, Bob and I can be quite polar.
But I just think it's that complete kind of intolerance and lack of respect for the fact that anybody has a different opinion from you, and I'm going to shut you down for having that. And it's like, okay,
thank you. You're going to surround yourself with the same people, and be in a bubble. Yeah. So it's good sometimes to know the extreme, and then you can. And if you have a really strong opinion about something, then you can have a debate and see if you can bring that person over, rather than cancelling and shouting.
In the meantime, another thing about COVID. I mean, think about all the people. Some people have had a really good time with COVID. Some people have made a lot of money. People have dealt in crypto. Amazon have had an amazing time. Jeff Bezos is now even richer than he was before.
Trillionaire.
They're all flying off now. They don't fly to Barbados for the holidays anymore. They fly to the moon.
Yeah.
So the wealth that's concentrating up there is pretty terrifying. And by the way, that comes back and feeds into what we talk about in vintage guitars.
You know what I'm thinking about doing? This just give me an idea. I'm thinking about going to Barbados and forming a blues band in Barbados and just playing to the millionaires.
Not a bad idea.
And just wait COVID out there.
Not a bad idea.
Just charge lots of money for gigs.
On the basis that you're reassuringly expensive.
Yeah.
Why not?
You've got millionaires out there that can afford it.
I'll join you. Good one.
Let's go to Barbados and form a blues band. Who's up for it, guys? Yeah? Who wants to come to Barbados? Yeah?
But other people, have they've had to work from home, and then it's all back to the office. We can see all our mates again, and now they've got to go back and working from home. And working from home for some of them, shared flats, laptops on ironing boards in kitchens. What a bummer. So mental health is an issue.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, I haven't had a mental health problem at all. But some days I've been sitting at home thinking, I'd quite like to go out today. Oh, I'm not allowed to at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll practice my guitar again.
I mean, I haven't noticed that you're crazier than normal.
Same old crazy. That's because I started in a bad place and I'm in the same bad place.
Still crazy.
So,
crazy
the vintage guitar market in the meantime.
Yeah, tell me about that. You've noticed some movement.
Well, this is not so much 2021 as 2020 and 2021, but my God. I mean, when everyone was, locked at home, and the first thing is they didn't have to pay for their commute anymore, so they saved some money. They couldn't go on holidays, so they saved some money. Mm-hmm. They're stuck at home with...
And there wasn't the crash, was it?
Not enough to do.
People were thinking, even I was thinking, there was going to be a big crash in the vintage or in the guitar market.
Well, actually, more in the economies of
Yeah.
the world. But no. But what people did do is they thought, well, okay, I've got all this time on my hands, so I'm going to do some kind of self-improvement. So whether they went out and got a Peloton, right, or you know they joined a virtual gym, or they started
Yoga ball.
Yeah, yoga ball, you know, midlife crisis, late life crisis, or they decided I'm going to either polish up or learn a new musical skill. And so musical instrument sales went potty at all levels.
They did, yeah.
And in the meantime, also so people started also ticking off their bucket lists. So while the novices to the market were coming in and pushing the price of, you know, cheap Stratocasters from 150, 200 quid to 300 quid, so it was happening in the middle of the market. People were buying, you know, your PRSs or your Gibsons or whatever.
Yeah.
And suddenly the price starts rising up. Also, as well, the dealers couldn't get as much stock. So the days when I used to go into a, you know, guitar or something and have a look, I want a Strat. Well, there's 40 to choose from. Now you make an appointment, and you might get to look at 6.
And also,
and then at the top of
they're making a killing. They're making a killing. These guitar shops are making a killing because
at the
they don't even need to have customers. It's all online.
Well, and it's all online. Although, mind you, they do fight tooth and nail online. No, I mean, and they are very.
But so YouTube channel has become the storefront because I'm now working with Coda Music.
Yeah.
Doing their YouTube channel.
A very fine retail emporium, if I might say so.
It's my favourite guitar store. You know, my guitar store. I'm not going to mention any names here, but I really despise a lot of the guitar stores in Britain. You know, because they're run by people that don't really. They're not. You know, they may be good in one facet of music, but they don't have a breadth of knowledge about music. You know, it's just that one thing. Whereas I think Coda are kind of a bit. You know, the guy that runs it is a really cool guy. And you know, it's that guy. I can't explain it, but there's something about British guitar stores that I just really hate, Rob. You know, the people that generally run them.
Well, I mean,
you know?
All the people who work in them, absolutely, they hate and despise and disrespect their customers.
Yeah, I really think
some of whom might be complete prats, and others might be perfectly okay types.
I mean, I've been with a friend. He spent 14,000 quid in a guitar store.
Oh, that's a lot of money.
Recently, and on 2 custom shop guitars a friend must have built, and just the service was just very shoddy, and the person serving him didn't know anything about. And this is like the major guitar store. I'm not going to mention any names, but just I was very disappointed.
Dropping 14 grand in a guitar shop that's big news.
But anyway, Coda, great guys, amazing shop. You know, if you're in America and you need a guitar, in England, Coda Music, check them out. I'm doing the videos, so.
Commercial break.
There you go.
Hey.
I'm not getting any money for that, by the way.
But so edging it the vintage thing, actually by way of a shop story, I do remember I went into one of London's finest emporia. And
Guitar?
I was, it wasn't, guitar. It was down Denmark Street, when Denmark Street was. And they were displaying a 1959-ish TV special, yellow.
Okay.
It had some wear.
Yeah.
So I went in to have a look. I went in I was curious because I wanted to see how it stood up against my 1960.
Right.
And anyway, I asked the bloke if I could have a look at it, and he started talking about it. And I have never heard such a torrent of ignorance come out of somebody's gob.
And I think in America they don't do that. In America they're just like, yeah, man, try the guitars, man, no problem. You know, in England there's a real problem about the store owner knows more than you, and even if they don't know more, they want you to think that they know more than you. It's a real patronising way.
It's an interesting challenge though, because if you happen to know something, this person puts themselves immediately in a very, very poor position, because they're actually now, you sit there and go.
But they can't say to you, well, look, you know more than me. Try the guitar. Enjoy it.
That's rubbish. Absolutely right. It's incredible, and it reminded me actually. I almost started chuckling because it reminded me of that Monty Python sketch, you know, with the parrot, the dead parrot, you know, and the guy goes, beautiful plumage, and all that stuff. You know, it's a classic comedy sketch, but it was like guitar comedy. It was.
And you get this all the time, yeah.
It was, you know, this was they were asking £12,000 for this instrument. It was probably worth 6.5, and it's in the hands. All this money is in the hands of a certifiable idiot.
Yeah, well, that's most of the guitar stores in England. I would say. Unless you're going to go to Coda Music, forget guitar stores.
Controversial stuff. Anyway,
yeah.
But that market as a whole, apart from some of the dunces who peddler stuff. That market as a whole has gone even crazier.
Yeah.
So the market for the high-end gear is always the same. The really good stuff continues to pull away from the pack. A lot of iffy stuff has come out as everyone thinks, I could cash in on my beat up old special or whatever. So a lot of dodgy stuff's come on the market, stuff that's been butchered around and stuff. And you'd think, hey, great, it's coming to the market. That means I can snap up a bargain. If you can get the chassis of an old special for maybe $2,500, okay, it hasn't got the pickups anymore, but you can get aftermarket stuff probably for a few £100. That means you've got a 2/3 real vintage guitar that's bloody beautiful.
Yeah.
For a snip. No. People are asking 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 quid for that. And the price
We're talking Fender and Gibson here.
Fender and Gibson here, but also, the same thing happens for old Guilds, Epiphones, a little lower because they're harder to resell.
Guild had, apart from those, we were talking about this the other day, apart from Aristocrat and the Dwayne Eddy and maybe the Artist Award, Guild generally hasn't really moved up at all. If you think about the pricing, it hasn't moved much, which is a shame because they are as good as Gibson.
Beautifully made. And Epiphone is certainly stickier.
Yeah.
Gibsons and Fenders, particularly old ones, they're just going bonkers now.
The problem if you buy an Epiphone, great guitars, and I want one myself, but you can't sell them. But a Fender and a Gibson, you can sell those all day, every day.
Yeah, it's true. The guitar world is very conservative, isn't it?
It's very much, okay, there's a bit of Gretsch, Ricky's, whatever, but really the market is Gibson and Fender.
Yeah, it is. And in acoustics, old Martins, obviously.
Yeah, Martins,
Yeah.
But really, it's all about you were saying that Telecasters, 52 tellies have gone from 30k to 60k.
Yeah.
In a couple of years.
Yeah. And what's happened there again, and this is the same with all the really, really top-end fizzy stuff, the Bursts, the 59 335s, the custom colour Stratocasters, custom colour Firebirds, early Telecasters, 50s Strats, all those, the prices are just going like this. And the prices are going like that because what's happening is that everyone who's got one is going, fantastic. I'm sitting on an appreciating asset, money in the bank's doing nothing, guitar's going bonkers, but I'll hang it out at a price that's so silly that if anybody wants to pay me that price, I'll be deeply happy. And all the dealers are doing this as well. So what that means is that there are an awful lot of Telecasters out there now for around about 60,000.
And people are hanging on to them, they don't want to lose them.
Well, they'll happily let go of them for 60.
Yeah, but otherwise they'll keep them.
But otherwise they'll stick. Yeah. And so that's happening. Unfortunately, I've been in the market for one of those. I'm getting nowhere, so I've actually withdrawn.
Yeah.
I'm actually sitting on my money instead of going, I can't find one. Okay, fair enough. Nobody's going to let one go for not a bargain, a sensible price. Everyone's just hanging them out at silly prices, seeing which mug comes in. And there are a few mugs. There's a few hedgies making a lot of money. A few crypto billionaires, a few tech types. I mean, the London property market. They've got the London estate agents have got buyers for 15 to 30 million pound properties. Buyers in their 20s.
From crypto.
Woo! Boy.
So, 50 grand guitars, nothing.
Chump change.
And this is the thing is that they're not getting into players, unfortunately. Like at least with the Nashville guys, who've made some money selling records, at least they're going to be using them on other records. It's a shame that those guys don't have access to them as much as they should have.
And some of these guitars, at least if the guitars are getting used, I think it's fine. I'm not here to judge the fact that a bloke has got a shitload of money and he can't really play very well. That's not my business. He's playing it. But if it's literally being put in a case, if it's bragging rights to hang on a wall, then that guitar is deteriorating. It's drying out, right, and it's deteriorating. And I think that's well, again, it's their money, but I think it's a bit of a waste.
It is, It was a trophy, it's like a rock and roll trophy.
Like Les Paul Juniors started the pandemic. You could probably find a good Les Paul Junior for, a cherry one or a single cut like my 55. You could probably find that for about four and a bit. Now, the money's well over 6, pushing 8.
Wow. For
one of those good TV yellow ones, insane. They're now into 5 figures.
Really?
Yeah, insane. I know they're rare anyway, but look, try and find a Polaris White SG Junior from 62 or 63.
It's your favourite, isn't it?
Well, I think they're really pretty, and I'd love to own one, but not for 16,000, thank you.
So what we're saying is because of the whole, maybe in a few years the market will settle and maybe drop a bit because we'll be out of the COVID situation.
It has before. It has before, and it probably will. I'll just play a long game. In the meantime, I can continue to play the instruments I've got and also swap with friends. So if I do want to get a Blackguard telly for a while, at least I know where a couple live.
Yeah. What else has happened this year?
Well, should we talk about gigs?
Let's talk about gigs. Yeah. I mean, I personally, I retired. Semi-retired this last year and this year. My opinion was, I'm not going to go and rehearse a band, get all a load of new material, have to record because when you go out and tour, you got to have something to promote.
Yeah.
So just all that hassle of recording, scheduling all the gigs. I just thought.
So the uncertainty of being then cancelled. Yeah.
I just thought I'd take 2 years off, and then next year, whatever happens, I'll actually push it a bit.
Well, tell me about it. I mean, my band, which is just a bunch of what you might call gentlemen amateurs, they're an okay band. We've been working quite hard together throughout the lockdown. We had a gig 10 days ago at a decent London venue, small but prestige venue, cancelled it because of COVID. It felt very badly about it, but and that was all that work isn't wasted. We can come back and build on it, but nevertheless. It's a bit like bursting the bubble, isn't it?
It is.
But then we did a gig.
We did.
Back in the summer. Actually, strange thing was we did a gig before the world was unlocked. Reflecting, I still think that gig was probably a bit legally dodgy, but it was good fun.
Which one was that?
In Chelmsford.
Oh yes, we did do a gig. Yeah, that was
good fun.
That was good. Yeah. No, that was fine. At that point, it was legal to do a gig.
It was legal.
It was
barely legal, as they say on the internet.
Yeah, well, we had a good crowd, considering.
Fantastic crowd, lovely venue.
It was a good,
great sound.
It was a good.
Made us feel welcome. I mean, I've been continuing to try and do as many kind of open night things as I can. Although I set pretty hard rules for myself because I'm just a bit old and long in the tooth to go out to an open night and stand around looking a bit expectant for 2 hours or something and maybe get called up and maybe not. And if I do get called up, maybe get on stage with somebody who's a bit duff. 2 songs, 10 minutes tops. It's not worth going out of an evening. So whenever I talk to the organisers of these things, I kind of say, look, I can look after myself. But I do expect to get on, and B, I expect a bit of airtime.
I think
some of the guys, one of the big London jams, the guy who I know quite well organises it, goes, well, I can't do that. I go, fine, I won't be at your jam. Another few jams, I've been going to a few, and I've got my feet under the table, as it were, and having some good outings and meeting some really good players and sparking off each other.
I always say on my videos that, get out there and play, even if it's in a church hall or just with some friends. Just get out and play. You've got to play. You've got to have that connection. And if you leave it too long, if you try and say to yourself, okay, I'm too good for this. I'm a professional musician. I'm going to just take my time and not do anything. Yeah. Then that's a really bad new thing to do. You've got to play, even if it was just with a friend who's not professional, or you're just 2 amateurs playing together. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the situation is. Just get out there and play. Yeah. What have you been working on the guitar this year?
Well, I've realised 2 things. First of all, my rhythm. I'm left-handed, although I play right-handed. I'm a left-hander. So my rhythm is in my weaker hand. So I've realised that my rhythm needs a lot of work. And the other thing is I now play so much with my fingers that I've lost my plectrum technique. Mm-hmm. So it's mainly rhythm and plectrum on the right hand is what needs the work. So that's what I've learnt. Have I fixed it yet? No, but it's on.
Well, Mark Knopfler, that's the reason he doesn't use the plectrum so much. He can use the plectrum, but he tends not to.
But I can't use a plectrum like rapid fire and all the rest of it. I'm trying to remember back in the day to whether I ever used to be able to, but I sure as hell can't now. So that needs work. Mm-hmm. Kinds of music. The only thing is, well, you've helped me a bit with kind of, first of all, understanding what jazz notation means, because I didn't have that right. And secondly, just working on more of these kind of, what do you call them, composite chords, G over A, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Those interesting flavours, very American jazz feel.
Sort of...
Yeah, and 11ths and things like that have nice feels.
Yeah.
But again, for me, they still feel like they're sort of shoved in rather than seamlessly integrated. They always feel like,
Because-
look, there's the chord. He's stuck one in to look clever.
Well, the thing is when you are playing with chords and you're following and you're learning a new song, you don't want to be sort of, oh, how does that chord? You really want to use chords that you're very familiar with, you know, especially if you're in a jam night or a jam situation. You want to know, okay, I mean, it might be that you know some really nice sort of some nice inversions.
Yeah.
But in a situation where you've only got like a split second to think,
Yeah.
just play the shape that you know.
You don't want thumb spaghetti, do you?
Yeah, you want to play the shape. That
But
you
nevertheless, working on a few of those and finding out, which of those inversions work, and basically cheating and throwing in a few sweet spots, a few candy. But that's been quite a lot of fun. You've helped me with that. So that's that. And the other thing, as you say, getting out and trying to play, at sufficient volume and live, and interacting with other musicians and finding out how to get a sound. First of all, a sound that's good and satisfying, but also that cuts it.
And you've got this addition to your equipment that's helped you, haven't you?
I do. Well, so I went to a jam not many weeks ago, and they had two of these little amplifiers. They're called Fender Excelsiors, and I'll drop a picture in to the video. They were part of their pawn shop range, made about, 10 years ago or something like that. I didn't even know they existed. I'd never heard of them before. But I came back from that jam, sat down, had a cup of tea before I went to bed, and I thought, it sounded really good, that. So I went on to Reverb, and I found one of these amps for no money. No money at all, really, very cheap. So I toddled off down to the West Country and bought it, brought it back home. We're sitting in front of 5, 10, 15, probably £18,000 worth of amp heads behind me here. I play this £270 amp down on my right pretty much all the time now. I think it's absolutely incredible. And of course, I've taken it out to gig it. It's a 13 watt amp. So you've got to be a bit brave to take a 13 watt amp out, because if the drummer starts hitting it, you've gone. But fortunately, and it's just fantastic. It's got a volume control and a tremolo knob, which just controls the rate. And it's got a bright and dark switch, which I've replaced. It's a mod that you can do for yourself, takes 10 minutes, costs one rheostat.
So check them out. I mean,
Right.
you've
It's
heard it here
got tone
first.
control. Unbelievable amplifier. Unbelievable. 15-inch speaker, 13 watts. Brilliant.
And to our select little audience, I don't know if you're going to get this far in the video, but you're going to know about this secret amp.
Well,
check them
the
out.
strange thing is, he hasn't heard it yet.
I haven't heard it. So we'll after this video, we'll
It is a bit of a feast, but it's bloody brilliant. It's really caused me to rethink things.
Yeah, well, I just talk about a little bit about technique, because this is something I've been working on. There's two little things I've been working on the guitar, because a lot of times we get into the gear stuff, but it really comes down to the playing, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few things that I need to work on. I kind of like think, okay, what do I'll listen to another player, and instantly, boom, okay, I need to learn that technique that he's doing. So I was watching Kirk Fletcher this morning, and
Shout out to Kurt, great mate,
yeah.
great guitar player, lovely man.
And I was like, I'm going to steal those three licks. I watched the whole video by him. I thought, 3 licks, okay, I'm going to steal those off you. So that kind of put that in the memory bank. That's something in the next couple of weeks I need to, watch Kirk, slow it down, watch, steal those licks off him. There's some other sort of more sort of fundamental things I was working on, 16th notes, which were just really running a scale. So you got 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and just being really comfortable with the 16th notes. And just being able to run them. So if you're soloing, and just being very comfortable
And given what I just said about floppy right hand technique and picking, that's really stepping on what I need to work on.
So but that's taken me 1 year to get to that. 1 year of hard work.
Have I got a whole year left?
No, not hard. I mean, I've been lazy. It's only 5 minutes, probably a week. But just even thinking about it, sometimes you just have to manifest your technique. You don't actually have to work hard. You just think about, what do I need to do, and you'll start naturally doing it.
The other thing, great thing, is when you are sitting down, you're going, you're trying to go diddle, You just can't get it. You get more and more wound up and tense. Your shoulders go, everything. Best thing to do, right? Persevere for a couple of minutes. Go and make yourself a cup of tea. The reason for this is actually not because tea's a stimulant or anything. The reason is what's happening is that your brain is telling your hand to do something, and your hand is going, okay, I need the motor control from the bit of the brain, the other bit of the brain. It's not quite happening, okay? Your thinking brain is thinking faster than your body can actually react. If you go and make that cup of tea, the internal stuff, the internal wiring catches up. And when you come back to the guitar, you'll go, God, I can do it.
So true.
I can do it.
And
The cup of tea trick has helped me out so many times.
And you find this in climbing, you know, if a lot of climbers, you know, alpinists, climbers, you know, you're climbing a cliff, whatever.
Yeah, but you're hanging off a rock like a bat. How do you make a cup of tea?
Well, you have you hang off with a tent. You can, you know, or you find a ledge and you make
I was
a cup of tea.
thinking about these crazy French women, free climbers, who hang on like 2 fingers.
It depends, yeah.
Above a 1,000-foot drop with no ropes.
Yeah, well, it depends if you're going. It depends how big the climb is, you know. But you know, a lot of them, you know, have a cup of tea, and it just breaks up the day. Especially if you're, you know, Everest, K2, whatever, base camp, cup of tea. It's all about a cup of tea.
And presumably also the muscles are recuperating as well.
Yeah, but you know, you know, a cup of tea, it really does solve a lot of problems. I think
for me,
the world drank more English tea would be fine. You know
for me, mainly, it's breaking the loop between the bit of the brain that's telling your hand to do something and the bit of your brain that's controlling your hand and won't. And it's letting the second bit catch up with the first bit. That's what it does for me.
I mean, it's great watching the Beatles. You know, this great. That's another thing that's happened this year. The Beatles.
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't got. It's on Disney, isn't it?
Yeah, they just have these little tables. They have these little tables, and these tables either have wine or tea. That's it. They keep breaking the tea breaks. You know.
Okay.
It's nice, isn't it?
Also, I mean, it's been lovingly restored. Every frame has been unrested. But also, there's some cracking old gear.
There's some great
good
gear.
old vintage gear.
There's a great
amps, microphones.
There's a great moment where George Harrison puts his Red Lady. What's it called? The Red Lady? The Les Paul. The Red Les Paul.
Oh yes.
Can't remember his name now. Lucy.
Could be.
Lucy, I think it's called.
The
Red Les Paul.
The refinished 57. Yeah.
And it falls down, and John Lennon goes, "Oh George, your guitar's just fallen down." Even George was like, "Ah." So even John Lennon was like, "Ah," and you could just hear this. And George didn't really care because it wasn't a 300,000 quid guitar then, was it? It was.
Well, that was probably. I mean, a Sunburst one back in that day would probably have been 250, 300 pounds.
Yeah, so it wasn't, but even then, John was like, "Oh my god," you know,
maybe
it was funny.
Maybe 400 pounds tops.
Yeah.
You know, whereas maybe a new SG would have cost you 200 pounds.
Yeah, well, he gave his SG to Ham from Badfinger. Pete Ham from Badfinger. Anyway, the point is with technique, guys. I think what you've got to do is set yourself a goal. For 2022, set yourself. Now, I've got some goals. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but when I've achieved them, I'm going to come out and play and show you what I've been doing on the guitar. But set yourself some goals. You don't have to tell everybody else. Set yourself some goals for 2022 and work on it. So I want to be able to accomplish this. I want to be able to play this song or this style of music by the end of 2022, and I'm going to, have it like a 12 months each month. Work towards that goal.
The one thing I'd really love to do, but I know I won't, is I'd love to be able to read music. But the reason I know I won't is because I can play and think music so much faster than I will ever be able to read it.
Okay, well,
I'm going to be angry with myself.
I can read music. I'm not a very good sight reader. So you know that song we started off today?
Yeah.
I went on my phone, looked at the dots, could play it. Now, if you say, can you play that straight away? Yeah, I could, but I'd make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to be a great sight reader. You just have, it's learn melodies. That's what I say. To get a book and learn really simple melodies, silly melodies, happy birthday, things like that. Start there, and when you read them, you'll feel a great. Don't get like Larry Carlton's, Kid Charlemagne solo in notation. And try and read that. Of course, you're going to be frustrated. You're going to be banging your head against the wall. Don't go there. Do nursery rhymes. Start there, and you'll feel a sense of achievement.
There you go.
That's the plan for you.
Nursery rhymes for me next year then.
2022.
Right.
2022.
Anything more on technique before we go back to gear? Because
no, yeah. Can you just show your shoes? I just love these Converse. Look at this.
he's
guys.
trying to make me fall off my yoga ball.
I'll
Here
hold
we
you, I'll
go.
hold
Here
you.
we go. Converses
Look
with.
at this. Look at this.
Oh no, he's going to.
Look at
Right.
this.
Oh, leopard skin Converses.
I want to get some of them.
Pathetic lead guitarist, cry for help.
Can you do the splits?
Come on, no, I can't do the splits. I'm not on a bloody yoga ball. Stop trying to crash me.
Very limbo.
Now come on, it's commercial break time.
Okay, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. I didn't want to do this, but if you force me.
I'm forcing him to because this has been a lot of work for you, man, from a colleague here. It's involved me a little bit too, in terms of moral support, a bit of tea and sympathy, encouragement. And
Well, the thing about Bob was that a lot of times you get a crazy call, wouldn't you? And I'd be saying, "Come over, Bob. I've designed this pedal. Is it any good?" And then Bob will come over and go, "It's okay, but you need to tweak it here." So then I'd go away. I'd work out. It normally take me about 4 weeks. Bob, I think I've done it. Come over again. So Bob would come over again, and it'll be like, "No, that's better. That's better."
but there were also a few moments where I think, as you were just kind of surrounded by all these bits and pieces, and you got a bit too close to it, and where I could actually come in and say, "No, actually, you think this is horrible.
Yeah.
No, actually, just tweak. Look, this is fantastic."
Yeah.
And kind of kept it back on the straight and narrow. So now, said pedal is just about ready.
It's just about ready. We've actually got a production model here, which is the first production model. I can play you a little bit here. And it's kind of like, I'm really happy with it because it's based on a tube screamer design. Because I love the tube screamer. It's what I grew up with. I had a tube screamer and a Strat. They were my weapons of choice when I was growing up. So I just wanted to take the tube screamer somewhere else because if you're gonna stand on the shoulders of giants, then you've got to move it forward a little bit or move it backwards, but move it somewhere else. Don't just copy. Anybody can copy. I'm actually releasing 2 pedals. They're both called the Goose pedal, but one's Crossfire, one's Texas Flood. The Crossfire is basically a boutique-y tube screamer, very much a tube screamer sort of style pedal. But the Texas Flood is something a bit different. So that's where I've really messed about with the tube screamer circuit, changed some things. So it's not like, for example, it's not like somebody else's, Analog Man or, these other great, incredible guys that know a lot more than I do. But Kingsley, is it Kingsley? No,
nice.
not
Kingsley, love those. Great.
Not Kingsley, because the guys he's amazing. But anyway, the guy that does a Katona boost. Katona boost,
That is Keeley.
Keeley, that's a Keeley. So
Robert Keeley. Yeah.
So he was famous for, he started off modding tube screamers. So what I try to do with the Texas Flood Goose pedal is really take it into a different area, and so much so that you might not like it. You either it's a pedal that you're either gonna be intrigued with or you're gonna hate it. It's not gonna work for you. And I've always wanted to do that rather than just go, the classic British salesman. You need this pedal, it's the best. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this is my take on it. You might like it, you might hate it, but there it is.
Well, so we're going to be posting some quite a lot of video quite soon about putting these pedals through their paces. I mean, for me, the Texas Flood in particular, what I really wanted out of that pedal is a pedal that makes my Strat sound like more Strats.
Yeah, it's for a Strat. That's really what it's for.
And so really, it's almost like, is the pedal switched on? Kind of thing. But it is, when you switch it on and off, it's very obviously switched on. But it's not really changing anything, it's just more.
Which is what a tube screamer doesn't do.
Exactly.
Because a tube screamer totally changes your sound.
To me, a tube screamer is about a mid-peak.
Yeah.
And I know that that's really useful in certain live gigging situations, but it's not a sound I like much at all. This is quite different. And when you got that, I thought, there you go, that's the pedal. But that's just one of its applications. That's on the low gain. If you put a bit more gain in, you can get some real nice singing sounds.
And I'm playing through the pedal with one of these. So obviously this is a Daniel's guitar, which is a very interesting guitar. And I'm going to be playing Daniel's guitars a lot more because I really love what he's doing. you know, and we both like
He
bangers.
makes great guitar.
Yeah. And you know, just so it's kind of like it's a really cool time where you've got some smaller builders making pedals, amps. You know, Jesse from Lazy Jane.
Yeah.
And Darren Horton from
And Cliff, of
Daniels.
course, making 633 amps.
Cliff, amazing.
I mean, you haven't seen his 5-watt Dragonfly amp yet.
No, but I
He's
want
got
to.
another guitarist 10 out of 10. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable amp.
But you know, it's a great time I think at the moment for these smaller builders, more sort of, if you want to call them boutique, whatever. Smaller builders doing something a little bit
Absolutely
off
brilliant
piece.
stuff.
Yeah,
Brilliant
you know.
stuff coming out.
But that's not to say you need to spend a load of money because, as we've just found out with Bob's new
In
Alexa,
pawn shop Excelsior,
I mean, how much was that?
£270.
£270. So you can still get great bargains, great pieces of gear, very valid, legit stuff for not much money.
Absolutely.
Doesn't have to be a boutique this or that.
Hasn't got to be a £150,000 Dumble, has it?
No, but it would be nice, wouldn't it?
Well,
if we
it'd
had
be lovely.
It would be nice.
Have 5 scrubbed and sent round to my tent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be nice. So that's been the year in review. Have we missed anything else out?
Well, we've probably missed 100,000 things, but we haven't.
Yeah.
You know, we've got political enough without overstepping the mark.
we didn't. I mean,
Talked about Kit. Just to say, we will persist. We'll probably take the silly hats off, but we will persist, and we will be back producing more of these videos.
we will.
In due course. And all I'd say is, once again, thank you so much for watching at all. Thank you for all the comments. I love reading them. I love watching them. Very few are hostile or nasty.
if you want to be hostile, it's fine with us. You know,
Well,
bring it on.
But you know, it's fantastic. So it's a joy, and we'll continue to do it, won't we, partner?
We would. All the best.
Magic.
Take care. Goodbye from him.
And goodbye from us.
Take care.
Ciao.